Welcome, wanderers, light workers, seekers on the path, all awakening beings. Welcome to the Sons of the Law of One podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Pendleton. This is episode 11, Bartholomew, Reflections of an Elder Brother, subtitled Awakening from the Dream. This material comes from Mary Margaret Moore. She prefers to not use the concept of channeling. Instead, she gives this description in the foreword. The best way to describe the unfolding which takes place is that, as I settle down, a vast silence begins to build within what I call my awareness. I become aware of a feeling tone that is at the same time still, yet dynamic and extending, silent, yet alive and full of potential. It is very hard to put into words. When the faces and surroundings have blended into what seems like a soft light, words come. These words come not from some energy that has dropped into my body, but rather from a place within me that is vaster than I usually experience myself to be. This is not confined to within me, but rather removes the barriers of inside and outside until there is only a feeling of one. Not one thing, but just one. It is the feeling of present potential that we have named Bartholomew. Caught in the duality of earth plane awareness, it is the human psyche's job to learn how to move between the polarities as they manifest in this world. This is a dualistic planet, and its function is to be dualistic and present you with the various opportunities to understand the play of these energies. The rhythm of duality is the postulation of opposites: left, right, good, bad, male, female, light, dark, any you may want to present. At its most painful, dualism represents itself as you and other. So when pain arises, a part of your awareness understands you have fallen into ego-based energy, and the function of that energy is to see itself as separate. It is the job of the ego-based consciousness to keep you moving, to keep you interested, to keep you delighted in the dance of polarity. But on some level, you all know there is nothing dependable in that kind of motion. For example, one morning you arise and are truly filled with the love of God. You look out upon the beauty of the world. You are moved and you feel love. As you interface with different parts of your world, your feeling is picked up by those around you, and then someone slams a door in your face. And the difficulty comes when you cannot hold the love. Some event or response from your world puts you back into fear, anger, resentment, or self-pity. No matter how hard you wish it to be, your love is not dependable. It does not have the consistent, deep, open, abundant heart power you want, and well you know it. There is a tremendous amount of excitement in the play of the dualities until you begin to pay attention to the contents of them. Once you do, you will become aware of the repetition. Most of the content is based on future or past, redoing, resaying, or rethinking. The problem with that kind of focus is the lack of grounding power as you swing between the poles of duality. Grounding is done in the moment. Grounding gives you a feeling of deep security and safety. Without it, suffering results. Suffering begins and extends from the mind. Hope is possible with awareness because you are in control of its focus. Whatever game of duality you might be playing contains a certain amount of ego-based power. But when you decide there is another layer of your being you can move to, which has nothing to do with duality, you will find yourself on the way to becoming constantly loving. On the other hand, none of you are consistently unloving. When someone says you are not a loving person, they most often mean that there are times you are loving and there are times you are not. And they are very conscious of the times you are not, and will be sure to inform you of them. There is no one that is not at some time and to some degree loving. But when the world says you are this or that, or you should be this or that, understand their frustration. They have given you the responsibility of showing them love, just as you have given them the responsibility to show you love. In the end, you will both be disappointed because no one in the separated awareness can be constantly loving. To whatever degree you have placed the responsibility for your feelings of love and wholeness on someone else is the degree to which you are bound to disappointment. There is only one place where dependable love is found, and it is the place within you, where divine love and light await your awareness. The quality of your state of consciousness is your responsibility. It takes an outer stillness to enable you to become aware of your inner power. When you are interacting with others, you fall into the projections of duality more easily. No blame. This is why I ask if you are really committed to moving through the world's polarities and resting in the wholeness of the heart. To do this, you must practice stillness over and over. You need to allow all of your wholeness to reveal itself to you, silently and intensely. Does your life contain suffering? You have the idea you are suffering as a punishment, but one's own mind does the punishing, and the overwhelming combination of like minds on the earth plane creates punishment. When you control your mind, you help control your destiny. It is not true God created your suffering. You did. As human consciousness became aware it had splintered off from the source and created a separate manifest world, it realized the feelings of that world did not reflect wholeness. It was noted over time that pain served best to remind you looking outside yourself for peace and wholeness was wrong. Pain became one of the methods you chose to move your attention from the external to the internal world. But it does not have to be that way. If you continue to believe, as your ancestors have taught you, that you can only find God through suffering, then you will, by the directive of your own thoughts, continue to suffer and make yourself and others miserable so you can go home. Suffering is historically very effective, but would you not prefer to discover who you are without the prod of pain? Once you deeply understand what the other choices are, you need not continue to use pain. It is a choice, and you choose it thought by thought. Your mind is always searching, like a squirrel always searching for acorns. The squirrel sits, surrounded by the acorns it has gathered. Is the squirrel seated blissed out in the midst of acorn consciousness? No, the squirrel is wondering where it can find its next bunch of acorn. With all due respect, this is also what your ego-based mind has in store for you. Its basic rule is to never completely satisfy you, to keep you looking for the next treasure, constantly searching for the fulfillment of your next desire. It is important that you understand the force of your desires. They are addictions, and being addicted to anything simply means you feel there's something you need to make you whole that you do not have. And you are all looking for wholeness in the wrong place. You do not know how to find it. You think you know, you hope you know, and you try to get people around you to tell you that you do know. but you don't. And that's part of the dilemma. So where do you go to find this wholeness? If you choose to use the power of each moment as it presents itself to pull you in and rest you in the center where being is experienced, you will find your wholeness. You will find who you really are. You will experience pure, conscious awareness. My friends, if it were at all possible, do you think that those who have reached the summit of awareness would not turn back and bestow it on everyone remaining on this creative planet? Of course they would, but it cannot be done. All we can do is remind you of the way out. The way out is down through the judgment and separation. The goal is to rest deeply in that inner place of safety where you find the love and compassion that connects you to the one God. Your concern with fear and judgment keeps you on a circular treadmill, moving endlessly around, when the way off is so simple. Remove your attention from fear and judgment. Drop down to that place of safety and do it 100 times a day, 1,000 times a day, or however many times it takes, until one day that's all that is present. Your life is exactly the way it is for one basic reason. The vastness of your being knows the perfect scenario to help you decide how to deepen your connection with the light. Your wholeness has its single goal, your awakening to the God self. You are pure, conscious awareness. Any other definition of you is false. Start paying attention and you will find that which separates you from the light is your judgment against yourself, other human beings, and the world. Your judgments keep you from knowing, feeling, experiencing, and exploding into light, and that is the only thing that separates you. You are not seeing what is real. At any moment, there is the beautiful possibility of bursting into full conscious knowledge of who you are. You can remember what you are looking at is not as it seems. You can remember it is a lie created by the separate senses, and you don't have to believe it. You don't have to become good, pure, and holy to experience wholeness. There is no such thing as goodness, because goodness denotes the necessity for evil. Those are words of judgment. Either you have the awareness of pure consciousness, or you have the awareness of ego-based confusion. There are no other choices, my friends. There are no other choices. Decide that you are in control of your awareness. Your consciousness is placed somewhere by you each moment, so every moment you have a choice to make. You either remember you are seeing camouflage and move behind it, or you become trapped by your dualistic vision. You say this is too hard to do, but compared to what? Start paying attention to your thoughts, and you will realize that they cause much more difficulty, are much more debilitating, and much more aligned with energy laws than the focused awareness of dropping to a place of stillness within you. When you begin to go deeply within, literally hundreds of times a day, that wonderful sphere of pure consciousness, which is you, becomes the focus of your energy. You feed something every time you think, so you must decide what it will be. Do you want to feed your separation, your alienation? It will increase. Do you want to feed your wholeness? It too will increase. You are the way to truth and light. You are the way. Gather up your awareness and place it where you wish it to be, and it will stay there, fixed, until you move it again. It's really up to you. It might be helpful now to take a moment to talk about this God you say you're looking for. Let's examine your beliefs about Him. The logic usually goes like this. The child is like the father, therefore the father must be like the child. Really? Do you really believe that God the Father is just a stronger, more powerful, more overwhelming replica of you, of all the humans on this earth plane? Many of you do believe this, consciously or unconsciously, and this belief is what catches you. You believe that you, in your ego-based consciousness, and God are the same, and you ask why you are afraid to experience God. Why would you not be afraid? Do you really think human consciousness, blown up 1,000,000 times, would represent a loving God? Humans punish and treat each other with cruelty. So, with your logic, God, who is like you, will also treat you with the same cruelty and punishment. But that is all in your mind. The way out is not to add another lie to this illusion. The way out is to experience the unthinkable, the unspeakable. When you claim, moment after moment, that your life is perfectly in order, and you picked it for your own particular illumination, that truth begins to filter down and change you. In acknowledging everything is perfect, the beingness of you says, if everything's perfect, then everything is in perfect alignment for me to see the light. You can reprogram the parts of you which really believe that this is not true. That something has to change and be different for you to experience the divine. If the moment is perfect, then the moment is now. If you don't believe it is possible now, then it won't be now. How do you make yourself believe something you don't believe? By choosing to place your awareness on the things that are light-filled, for as long as it takes you to know the truth. The greatest obstacle to knowing your full enlightenment is the belief that you are not now enlightened. What you have been saying is, God, stay away, I'm not good enough, I'm not pure enough. And finally, don't come because I'm terrified of what you might think if you did come. There is light. It is filled with the most amazing, abundant love, power, and delight you could possibly imagine. And if you keep looking for it every moment, you will start to feel it without anything outside of you changing. God has no favorites, so He is not going to pick your illumination over that of another. When God is present, miracles always happen, and resolution of all differences is possible. Everyone benefits. When you decide you need to be separate to find God, people in your life get hurt. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all else will be added unto you. With your separate consciousness, you don't know what's best for you and others. Those of you who are worried about all of your obligations, don't worry. You have no idea how well God can take care of your obligations. That is not your job. Your job is to seek the kingdom, or light, as it's unfolding, doing whatever is in front of you with the highest awareness you are capable of. On the deepest level, there is nothing wrong with what is going on now. Your life is perfect and you picked it. Once you experience the truth of that statement day after day, you will know who you are. Your life is perfect and you picked it. Don't believe those fairy tales that tell you if you get everything right, you will live happily ever after. You can never get everything right, so you will never live happily ever after in the world of separated vision. The wholeness of you has gone through an incredible amount of trouble to get you to just where you are, hoping you will pay attention to what is happening in the moment. The perfect place to be is wherever you are. There is a power within each of you that will reveal the truth should you ask for it. Turn to it again and again. Don't worry about thoughts. Just drift through them down into the feeling you are looking for. Words and thoughts rise and fall. Focus your awareness and drift through your ego debris down to a point where it is very, very still. Be still and know you are a part of God. The heart center is a wellspring of undifferentiated love to which you have total access at any moment. It is undifferentiated in the sense that the heart does not have any particular thing or one person it loves more than any other. When you begin to immerse yourself in the heart center, the feeling of love increases almost instantly. The delightful thing about this particular approach is the gradual feeling of expansion around the boundaries of your love pattern. You will honestly find yourself feeling love in the most astonishing moments. You're sitting on a subway, reaching for the stillness within, when someone with a very loud ghetto blaster sits down in the seat opposite you. Suddenly, you feel this upwelling inside and you realize it's love. And who is the object of the love? The person with the ghetto blaster. It's this kind of surprise that comes into one's consciousness. As this happens, time after time, you become more attached to this undifferentiated love, which is the most magnetic force in the world. It is not true that differentiated love conquers all. Differentiated love gets you into a lot of humbug. It makes you and other people miserable. But when you get into the realm of undifferentiated, spontaneously combustible love energy, it is as though you become magnetized and you are pulled into that place more and more. As with any two magnets which have fields lined up, there is a point where they attract each other to such an extent that they come together without any more effort. The two magnets are your awareness and the love within the heart center. It's not very difficult to do. It's like sweet dropping, experiencing and drifting of your awareness deeply down inside yourself. So the approach is twofold. Just as you are immersed more deeply into the sense of love, at the same time, the sense of who am I brings you to the clarity of total wisdom as well. So, pause a while in the feeling of the heart center, just a gentle placing of awareness, letting go of the external and resting there. The rest of the time, when you are out in the world, keep the conscious question going of who is living this. The illusion of time and space. Let me explain what I mean when I say there is no such thing as time and space. Once you break out of the energy vibration of this planet by deepening your consciousness to a vibrational level beyond it, you will find everything happening at once. Your mind cannot fully understand this phenomena until you experience it. As long as you believe there is such a thing as progress, you will believe in time. My words are as wind when you are using the brain of a human. Physical apparatus, because it is constructed in such a way as to make the linear progression of time and space a reality to you. You have all made an agreement, coming into earth plane consciousness, that you will pretend there are such things as time, space, progress, and decay. Totally immersed in this agreement, it is very real to you. All this wonderful drama that you have created as human separated consciousness goes on, and as long as you stay in that frequency, you will believe it and experience progress. But please understand, since this is a planet of polarity, if there is progress, there has to be its opposite. There must be regression. What you create here must die here. But there is a level beyond this one where all polarity is seen for exactly what it is, which is the rising and falling of limited awareness. Grounded deeply beneath and around those limitations, there is something quite different going on, from which all this illusion is allowed. Human consciousness plays out the drama of pitter-patter up the ladder. Well, eventually there comes a moment When you realize you and the ladder and the space around it are all one. There is no place to go, nothing to do except to experience what is. Progress equals expectation of a specific kind. Progress is the expectation of doing better, and with it comes the deep fear that you are not going to do better. I know I am asking you to pull yourselves out of lifetimes of belief patterns, and I realize how difficult it is, but you can do it. You do it by asking the question, who am I? And by going to that place where unconditional love is present. Then you simply wait with an expectation that is an invitation to experience what you are looking for. Many of you have been working for years to raise your level of consciousness, and I know that there are times when this job seems too difficult. But I want to encourage you in your endeavors by reminding you of the very wise choice you made to incarnate at the present time. It is wise because moving over the earth plane is a vast new source of energy. And since the energy is real, the acceleration of power here is also real. You have been asking for such things as courage, strength, enlightenment, wisdom, love, and understanding. And when you ask with a deep inner longing, the unseen world does respond. This is not just a figment of the mind or a fragment of hope. It is a reality. The true desire of your heart goes out, and the unseen world rushes to maximize that energy flow for you. I know many have hoped it would come as a dramatic surge of power instantly felt, which in turn would let you know you have been doing a good job of awakening. But please realize, if you were to feel the powerful force all at once, many difficulties would arise. The energy is sent in increments, and force and power are regulated, thus making it possible for you to gradually absorb this new energy into the cellular structures of your body. As with any new source of power into a specific form, things can get out of balance until one becomes accustomed to it. You might experience depression when you haven't been depressed for years, or physical things such as headaches or short-lived, unusual illnesses. You might be irritable or feel the desire to change when there is nothing obvious for you to change into. You might even begin to feel differently about parts of your lives you have never questioned. Our response is, please be patient. Let it be. Just keep feeling and experiencing the energy as it comes in with as much humor as possible, allowing it to make its slow, careful, and balanced adjustment in your life. When energy moves into the physical body, it runs into old patterns within the cells themselves, and it is through the gentle action of the energy acting on cells, emotions, and mind that changes are going to come about. The buffeting of new energy breaks loose the old and allows the new to take form. It's obvious this process can, in some periods, be uncomfortable because it is difficult to let go of the old when the new is not yet firmly in place. Become aware of your body, your emotions, your belief structures, and your thoughts exactly as they are. And then imagine a new, rejuvenating energy field coming from the vast source of the deep self, permeating all of them. The changes will come. Remind the cells that relaxation is the way to expansion. When you feel your emotions tighten up, just remind yourself that relaxation around those emotions is what brings the greatest relief. If your mind gets tense over certain thoughts, and you gnaw on those thoughts like a dog on a bone, tell your mind to relax, to let things go, and you will find a great state of well-being will come upon you. To help with this process, I would suggest you increase the number of times during the day when you quiet down and allow yourself to consciously remember that this energy is present. When you increase the number of times you do this or extend your one meditation period, you will be able to feel the changes. Make sure to go into the mental, emotional, and physical feelings with the awareness that things are being changed and transmuted. As you participate more deeply with this process and become more familiar with it, you will be much less likely to have times of depression, confusion, or a sense of being off balance. The more familiar you are with the energy, the more you keep it in your mind, emotions, and body, the easier the transformation process will be. Each cell of your body carries within itself a magnificent part of the God essence. And as this energy field caresses your cellular structure, it frees the essence that lies within. So when you are seated in meditation, it would help to direct the cells to relax and to release outmoded beliefs and stale emotions. Relax and release repetitious thoughts and bodily tensions. As cellular relaxation takes place, there is a sense of being, of letting go. It is this relaxation, this trusting of the energy, that brings a deep and continuous feeling of the trustworthiness of God consciousness. I was recently asked to explain why meditation is valuable. Meditation, done properly in whatever form it takes, has its basic function, the conscious absorption of life force into your body, so you can have access to more power, more energy, and more awareness. This life force does not tell you what to do with the energy once it's in you. You can rob a bank, or you can go find God. It's entirely up to you. Meditation is a state where you are constantly recharging the light within, which gives you the power to do anything you want. Your free will operates through the choices you make around what you want to do with this power. If you decide to find God, you will discover ways to be continuously attuned to that inner decision in the midst of whatever is going on in your life. You will discover ways to use the power your meditation has generated to experience what you long to experience. You will use the power of awareness to carry you again and again to the point of inner light. That is God. As your focused awareness grows stronger, you will discover you deeply want to be in alignment with what you call God's will. Meditation helps you to know what that is. In meditation, you will take in the breath and let out the breath. You have awareness that watches it come in and watches it go out. You pay attention. You slow down. You become aware you are asking to experience what is within you. A basic truth will be obvious if you do the following. Take a deep breath and hold it. Hold it. Hold it. The obvious truth is you cannot survive on the in-breath alone. You cannot move, function, and be alive in the physical body when you only take breath in. The delightful job of those in a physical body is to learn the technique of living with in-breath and out-breath, to understand what they mean, to know the difference between them, and to fill yourself constantly with them. You will decide to become spiritual. Most of you start by taking in-breaths, and the breath in, and the breath in, and the breath in. And you breathe in, and breathe in, and breathe in, and all of a sudden you are unconscious because you have been breathing in too long. In-breath is taking in, receiving, being filled from the outside. This can take the form of such things as reading books, going to lectures and workshops, finding a guru or teacher, or even traveling to India to find God. Out-breath happens when you extend from within yourself out into this world, out into your world. This can take the form of working for a hospice, doing selfless service, joining a peace walk, or just putting all you have learned on in-breath into practice, moment after moment. You have set up what I see as a great paradox. On the one hand, you are told to surrender to God's will. That's an in-breath. On the other hand, you've been told you create your own reality and you are responsible for it. That's an out-breath. Why aren't you in total chaos over these polarities? How can you have your will taken over and live from the center of God awareness and God love, and at the same time create your own reality? Unless you address this dilemma on the deep level of your being, you will continue to be confused by this paradox. So, what do in-breath and surrender mean? In-breath is the receiving of vast energies and the surrender to that feeling. No action, no thought, just feeling. But to be able to take a deep, clear in-breath of God, you must first remove any obstacles that stand in your way. These obstacles are things you believe you must eliminate or acquire before you are ready to feel the presence of God. Find out what your inner rules are. What do you believe you must develop or get rid of on the inner planes before you can find God? For example, I will never find God if I do not learn how to meditate deeply. Or, I only experience God if I have a loving heart. If I don't treat people nicely, God will never love me. Or if I have money, I can't have God. The first movement toward balanced breathing is to get in touch with the particular standards you must meet in order to find what you want. Examine your particular set of beliefs, because those beliefs will keep you from surrendering to the God experience. Face them, and they will begin to loosen their hold on you. Now, what of out-breath and creating your own reality? Your out-breath creates something every moment. For the most part, you have been creating out of your unconscious, a part of the psyche that contains patterns of your past. But creating out of the past makes the future like the past. To stop this pattern, you must find a way to stop using the unconscious as the creator of your future. You must be willing to take the risk of being a conscious creator, not from your unconscious, but consciously with God. You must be willing to be a co-creator. A co-creator is one who decides what attributes of God's self they want to experience and then concentrates on those attributes until they appear. For example, do you want peace, joy, a deep knowing of who you are, the light of consciousness? Then keep remembering those are the things you want, and when you go within, expect to find them. Since these are attributes found both within you and God, you can co-create their manifestation in your life. I was unable to locate a website for Mary Margaret Moore, but there are links to the Bartholomew material on the sonsofthelaw.one.com. You can subscribe to the podcast at the sonsofthelaw.one.com/podcast. Also avail yourselves of an ever-growing Law of One directory, PDFs, and videos. That's all for now. Love and light to all.